Hello beauties and welcome back to the Jolie Beauty channel. And before I start, guys, give the video a thumbs up because Saul has just agreed to me that if I get 100 likes on this video, he is going to test painless waxing on camera for you.
Did I?
Yes, he did. He did. He just told me that.
Don't like the video. Do not like the video.
Like the video, guys. And while you're there, you may as well hit that subscribe button as well. It is just next to it. And then you'll be notified when we get the 100 likes. When, not if, when.
No, I don't like the sound of this.
Anyway, let's get on with today's video. Of course, today I'm going to be using the Sorceress Palette. Of course, I'm going to be bringing you so many tutorials with it. You may have seen in the reveal video that I said something like this. Oh, I just want to make an eye out of those 4 shades, to be honest. And here we are. So without further ado, let's get on with the tutorial. Sorry about the poor sound here, guys. Our sound technician forgot to put the cable in. Didn't you, Loki? Don't worry though, it does get better in around 2 minutes time, so bear with me. So as ever, I have already completed one eye and I'm going to show you how to get the look on the other. So first of all, I'm going to prime my lids. Today I'm going to be using the P. Louise base in Rumour 0.5. This is quite a light shade. I feel like with these grey smoky looks, putting it on a lighter base than your skin colour helps the colours to really pop. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone that left love on the Sorceress reveal video. We were so overwhelmed at the response we got from it, and honestly it's been our biggest launch to date. And when I say, you know, biggest launch, it's not just in terms of how many products we bought to sell, it's in terms of making the advert, having a creative team, having a vision and bringing it all to life. And it's honestly been one of the most exciting and rewarding things, and to be honest, with the response that we got, I just can't wait to do it again and again. When I get to the lid, I'm just patting that base all over just to make it nice and even. I don't try and put too much on. I like a nice thin layer. I feel like this is where the shadows stick to it the best and it stops it from creasing throughout the day. Sometimes I just like to pat over it with a slightly fluffier brush as well, and this just gives it more of a seamless finish. And it also means I can buff out the lines towards my brow and towards the edge here, so we don't get a horrible stark line where our foundation is going to meet our eyeshadow. So I'm really excited to be playing with the cooler tones today. It really takes me back to my teenage years where I just used to love wearing grey smoky eyes. I feel like it's a bit of an upgrade on that, so I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to make it super grey, super smoky, and also super ghoulish glam. As I always say with my greys and blacks, I like working from the lighter shade to the darker shade and building up the intensity. If you go in with a really dark grey or black, it can be quite hard to work with. It can end up, you know, in places you don't want it to. So let's map out our shape with the lighter shade and then we can work and create that intensity that we want in the crease. And the shade I'm using here is Hex. So I'm using this as a transitional shade and blending it up from the crease of my eye up into my brow bone softly, using minimal pressure so I get a really nice soft effect. And then when I'm getting to this outer corner, I'm flicking the shadow out. Start off this kind of gradient wing effect. I want the colour to be more intense here than it is up here. And I'm just taking small amounts of the product, building up and blending, hardly touching the skin with my brush. And you can see just how seamlessly that's now blending into the brow bone. I always get questions about how do I know what shape I'm making, and for this kind of eye, I always try and go a little bit higher with my shades towards the front, and then I come down into a swoop, leaving this a little bit more clear of colour, and then up into the wing. It should look a little bit like an S shape. Ah, itchy nose. Next I'm going in with a slightly darker grey. This is the shade Solstice. And I'm taking this underneath where we put that first grey hex, building it up in the socket and placing it also on the outer corner where we want the most intensity, which is here. Like all my videos, if you lose any intensity at all, don't feel free to go back in and just top up the first colour and just keep blending them until you get a seamless finish, but you can still see both of the shades. And don't get your brushes mixed up like I always do. When I'm working on a client, obviously I'm holding them in two hands, so it's very, very easy to know which brush is which. When I'm working on myself, I tend to put things down and then go, much, much harder. So before I put any black down, I'm going to line the eye. I always feel when you're doing a look where you don't want too much liner on the inner corner, if you tight line the waterline first, it gives you a guideline of where you want the black on the top lid to start. I hope that makes some sense. So by tight lining, it starts off your liner, and then we're going to blend into the black and then up into the wing. So we don't have a really heavy dark line at the front of the eye, because this can close the eye off, and we're going for a more striking kind of cat eye effect. So yes, I am using that very special gel liner that isn't out yet, but is coming very, very soon, believe me, actually this month. So we are very excited for this. Another trick with gel liner is get a little bit out and then kind of smush your bridge and then kind of smush your bridge into it. Is that a word? Smush your brush into it. Oh, I said bridge. How much more brummy can I get, honestly? Just smush your brush into it. Oh God. Just smush your brush into it. We got there in the end. I mean, I don't know if smush is the actual word, but there you go. And then this gives like a nice even covering. So when you go and put it onto the eye and you're trying to draw a line, you don't get any bits like flakes, or you know, the consistency is nice and smooth for you, and it just makes it a lot easier to apply. And I'm just doing my whole tight line, and I'm going to take a little bit on the top as well, just to give a little bit of base, but I'm actually going to use shadow for the rest of the black because it's hella black. I tell you. Now this gives a lovely guideline of where I'm going to wing that shadow out. I was pulling a funny face then.
Sex face.
This is my sex face. Next up, I'm taking the darkest black ever to have been put in a Jolie Beauty palette before. This is the shade Sabbath. And when I say be careful with this shade, be a little bit careful with this shade. It's better to build up, trust me. But for this, I'm just going to start with a small blending brush. And I'm just going to start tapping it on my outer corner where I definitely want the black to be. That's the easiest place to start. Then when I start getting to this line here, I don't want to take that wing too far up because I've got nowhere for the black to blend into. Does that make sense? If I keep on going with black up here, it's going to turn into an extra long wing and it's going to merge into that lighter shade. And I want a much softer effect than that. So just keep tapping and blending until you get all that smoky goodness coming through. And you can see these shadows just blend effortlessly into each other, so it makes it super easy. Speaking of black, we had a lot of comments on our video about where it was filmed and the location. I think it's because there were so many black trees around and people couldn't quite understand where that could be and if it was edited in the video, and I have to say none of it was edited. It was actually filmed in Portugal. There had been a big fire in the Algarve and there was massive amounts of land scorched, unfortunately, but it did make for this very witchy and very atmospheric scene. This just reminds me of it because the models and I had to be ever so careful not to touch anything and not to touch our face with all the makeup on. So we were going around like this. I think the worst part though was the beach scene where we ended up walking to the beach at 6 p.m. in summer. So there was quite a lot of people still on the beach. We were dressed in full black in our sorceress outfits, and boy did we get some stares that day, but it was all so worth it. And I think you'll agree the end result was just so cool looking. I couldn't be more happy with the actual campaign. I think the next time if we do a campaign again, I'd love to do like a behind the scenes video and show you guys the process. So if you'd like to see that, make sure you drop a comment below. I'm just going to take the same fluffy brush that I used the dark grey shade on, and I'm just going to slightly feather that line that I've just created at the end, just to soften it. Next up, I'm going to take a shimmer. This is the shade Chalice, and it is a beautiful cool silver. Just taking a flat brush, I'm just going to pat that just at the beginning of my eye and taking it around a third of the way into the eye socket. These shimmers deliver so beautifully on brushes, or you can use your finger, obviously. Key is with shimmers is to always pat them on. When I'm getting to where it meets the darker greys, I'm just patting a little bit more lightly, and this is going to help blend the shimmer into that dark grey. So I want a little bit of a pop on the inner corner, so I'm going to take the shade Equinox. This is a beautiful, cool, light shimmer. It's a little bit blue, a little bit green, and it's just perfect for highlighting, I think. I'm just popping that on the inner corner and just slightly under into my tear duct. Also with this look, I like to bring it up. You see this area here where I've got a little bit of, what do you say? It would be like the end of my crease on my inner corner. I like to just pop a little bit there, so you get that kind of effect when I turn, that it's really fading from one colour into another. And who gets the world's worst award for explaining things? So that's the top of the eye done until I do the skin, and then I'll go back up to the eyes. So let me just do like the super satisfying bit here. By the way guys, people ask me what tape I use on my eyes, and it's household electrical tape. I recommend putting it on the back of your hand a couple of times to get the sticky off, but it honestly gives the crispest finish. So for base today, I'm using the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation. I like this foundation for more heavy looks, for nighttime use. I really enjoy it on my skin. A little bit heavy for me in the daytime personally. Today I'm just going to be using that with my I'm just going to be using that with my Base Blend Pro sponge and just bouncing that all over the skin. Oh, sorry everyone, I'm blocking you out. Maybe if I turn a little bit. I do like the sponge finish with this foundation. It makes it look a little bit more smooth, and because it's a little bit thicker than a foundation that I'd normally wear, it means I can build it up in the areas that I want to, rather than going in with a large amount, because sometimes you don't need foundation all over your face, especially if it's a good match. I don't know how people with like proper platinum hair get on, because since I've had like blonder pieces put through my front of my hair, I'm constantly just orange up here. Even when I put it on with a brush, like my bronzers in my hair, my blushes in my hair, I basically just have like orange roots and then like pink and brown, and it's just a whole mess really. I don't know if there's some kind of trick. For concealer today, I'm going to be using the Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer, and this is in the shade Creme Brulee. And this is actually a repurchase, which is quite unusual for me. I normally like to try a whole load of different things, but I have got on really, really well with this concealer. So I think I like the fact that you just don't have to use so much powder with it. And for me, that's a bit of a bonus, because powder underneath my eyes, it can look fairly heavy and cakey quite quickly. And again, I'm just going to blend that in with my sponge. And the great thing about the
Base bun.
The great thing about the Base Blend Pro sponge is that it's got this lovely flat edge, so you can get in right underneath your looks, which gives you so much more precision, even though I've just got black all over it somewhere. Underneath your eyes, and that's why it was designed with the edge like that, so you could get up and personal to that eye makeup, because I know not everybody likes using a brush for their under eye concealer, and they do find a sponge way more convenient. Next up, I'm taking the tiniest bit of the Hourglass finishing powder on a brush underneath my eye, just to set it ever so slightly so it doesn't crease. And this has a tiny bit of a brightening effect as well, which I think is really important when you're doing these dark looks, to have that contrast of your skin tone underneath, because we all want that shadow to pop, pop, pop. Let's go back to the eyes now. Now all of our base is on. I'm dipping back into my liner again. This is going to be called the Infinity Gel Liner, by the way, and it will last you an infinity. Not just within the product itself, but also on the waterline and on the eye. It really is unmovable. I always found when I was working on brides, for instance, I could never find an eyeliner that would do the distance or transfer as well. It's so annoying when you do a look and you've got eyeliner on the top and it goes to the bottom, and if you're creating a really wide-eyed, doe-eyed look, you don't want that transfer. So for me, like, formulating something that really stuck in that waterline and stuck where you put it was of the ultimate importance. I believe this product will be ready to go in mid to late October. So make sure you sign up for the notifications on the Jolie Beauty website. I will link the link down below so you can do that. Next, I'm taking a small blending brush and the shade Saba, and I'm slightly blending that underneath as close to that lash line as I can get in. I'm taking it around 3/4 of the way across, and then taking a pencil brush and the shade Solstice, which is our medium grey. I'm just slightly blending underneath that shade, and that's just going to give us a nice smoky effect. Ooh, she's smoky. I'm going to top that off with a little bit of mascara. Any mascara will do, and I'm going to put that on the top and the bottom lashes as well. So I'm going to top off the look with a pair of Melody lashes. These are quite well, how should we say it? They are quite dramatic ones, especially on my eyes, but I love them because they're super tapered, and for this look you want something that starts off short on the inner corner and definitely goes wider on the outer, and that's going to enhance this cat eye effect. So as ever with your lash glue, you want to put it on and then just let it set. Do not put it on your eye before it's tacky, because it will just slip and slide all over the place, and honey, you don't want any slip and sliding on your eyes, trust. And I don't know why that sounded so dirty. That's what she said. Then when the lash is on, I just go in again with a little bit of my gel liner, and I just like to pop it just over the lash band, and this just helps it blend a little bit more into the look, covers up any little bits that might be sticking out. It just makes that lash look more seamless. So I don't want to be too bronzed for this look, I want it to be slightly cooler. So today I'm going to be using the Perfectly Sculpted palette, which actually has this beautiful cool contour shade here, and I'm just going to use that to shape my face. Taking an angled brush, I'm just going to sweep a little bit along my cheekbones, and this is just going to help me create that depth back into my face. For me personally, I don't need too much contour because I've got quite a long face, so I just keep that cheek contour right at the back. My favourite place to contour is underneath my chin, giving you that snatched jawline at the sides of my forehead, and if I'm really getting into the mood, I'll pop a little bit on my nose as well. And for me, I just like to shorten it a little bit. So I pop some underneath my nostrils. What was that noise? I did. So that was your phone from the other room. And I like to take it down from my brow, just along the sides. And this is just going to give the illusion of a slimmer nose, like magic. Perfect. And with the same palette, I'm also going to do a little bit of reverse contouring. So I'm going to take the lightest shade, which is this one here, and I like to pop a little bit on my chin because my chin is a little bit receding, and a little bit underneath where I've put that contour, and that will just help that pop a little bit. If your contour is looking too harsh, just take a face powder and just slightly soften it, especially along your nose. If find this really helps to make it look more natural from the side as well. If anybody wants a contouring in-depth tutorial for different face shapes, then just let me know, because I absolutely love manipulating face shapes. It's one of the key things of being a makeup artist. I shouldn't say manipulating, enhancing. I feel like a good contour should always look super natural and, you know, not forced. It shouldn't be like stripy. It should just look like it's part of your skin. I kind of feel like keeping the skin a little bit matte today because I am going in with something a little bit exciting on the lips. So of course my teenage goth dreams wouldn't be complete without finishing this look with some black lipstick. This is in the shade Demise. Why have I just forgotten how to pronounce that? As soon as I sit down in front of this camera, it's like my brain just goes.
The camera's got nothing to do with it.
Who wants a new husband? Anyone? You can line your lips with an eyeliner if you want, but these liquid lipsticks are pretty precise, so you can get away with just applying them straight to the lip. And I always like to go from the edge to the middle when I'm creating a line. If you were to use a lip brush, it could be even more precise, but let's face it, I'm just lazy. When I was younger, I used to shop at the Oasis Market in Birmingham. Anybody know it? And they didn't, I think it was like the only place that used to sell black lipstick back then. So once every 3 months, off I went, and got really, really terrible quality as well, which used to smear everywhere. Well, I think we can agree that we've certainly come a long way since those days. That's the final look, beauties. I hope you enjoyed watching my tutorial today. Of course, I'm going to be doing so many looks with the Sorceress palette coming up, so if you've got any suggestions on which colours you want me to use, then definitely leave those in the comment section below. I'm always on there, always responding to you guys. I absolutely love seeing your comments. And over on Instagram as well, I'm jolie.cash. And yeah, that's it. So hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Make sure to give the video a big thumbs up, especially if you want to see Saul wax himself. Remember, we need to get those 100 likes, guys. And while you're down there, you may as well hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I love you so much, my beauties, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah!